Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from In This Moment, Mother, out April 3rd on Atlantic Roadrunner Records. The album has 14 tracks, 54 minutes in length, and this is the band's 7th full-length studio album. If I had one word to describe this record, I would have to go with interesting. The reason I picked this word is because this is one of those albums that leaves you scratching your head, wondering if you knew exactly what this album was about, if you understood exactly what the message, what the plan was from the band. It's an album that it doesn't matter how many times you listen to it, I feel like every single time you're still going to be left scratching your head because there's hidden layers to it that is really hard to decipher. So in my opinion, interesting is perhaps the best word to describe the overall experience that it is to listen to this new album from In This Moment. When you look at the overall album, when you look at how the album is put together, the structure, the sound of the record, to me this album, first impression was that it felt almost like a Maria Brink solo record more than it did an In This Moment record. This is not a knock, it's not a negative per se. I just felt that she had such a strong presence on this album, that she had a magnetizing presence, and it really permeates through every single song on the album. That by those reasons and those reasons alone, it really feels like it's her record more than the band's record. And her voice is magnificent. I mean, her voice is what you've come to expect from her. It has this ability to be dark, melodic, melancholic, filled with pain, emotion, stress, and then when you add electronic elements to it, you just have this huge array of places that you can go with her voice, that you can do with her voice, that just allows the album to be very rich from that perspective. And I think to me, that's why I said it earlier, that I really feel like this is almost a solo record from her, because her presence is so overpowering. She just overtakes everything around her with her voice and the layers that they do and the styles that they take as far as her vocal range is concerned. So it takes just this, she becomes this overpowering force that kind of puts everything into the back and just lets herself be the person on the forefront, or be the main element on the forefront of the record, and really dominate what this album is and what this album becomes. So for those reasons is why I say that it feels almost like a solo record. So it's not a knock, it's just the way her vocals work, and it's just the way the album is structured and the way the album is put together. The sound on this album, in my opinion, is an extension of her vocals. I really feel like the sound just comes as the natural next step to the way her vocals are used throughout the record. It has this ability to ignite the songs and really connect with every single track. A lot of the tracks have a lot of the same elements, so the sound really continues. It's an extension of what she's doing, and I like that symbiosis between those two elements. Really important for an album like this to have that capability for the sound and her voice to be two elements that are completely connected, that are coexisting, and one is the extension of the other. So I felt that her voice, because of the power that it has, is the main element, and then the sound is really just an extension of it. At least that's how it sounds to me. Overall, if you're expecting a very heavy album from In This Moment, that's not what you're going to get with this album. This to me is more of a hard rock album with a lot of electronic and even industrial elements to it. It allows the album to have this really magnetizing sound, popish at times, very melodic. Very melodic. I think that's one of the main ingredients of this album, is the melody. You find melody at every single turn with so many different elements at play, but to me melody is something that's very consistent from the first to the last song, and that's important. I think it's for her voice to really work and to really shine, you need to have that melody there to really enhance what she's doing, and that's why I said earlier that the sound is really a continuation and extension of her voice. But overall, the album is not a heavy one. It's more of a melodic record, a hard rock record with, like I said, electronic and industrial elements, a lot of electronic and industrial elements throughout, which is nothing new for In This Moment. They've used those elements throughout their career, so it's not like this album is becoming something out of the box for them. It's not. The thing is, to me, it became a lot more noticeable on this record because I felt that the guitars didn't have as much of a bite. They weren't as raw as they could be, and because of that, all those other elements that have always been present on previous records from the band perhaps became a lot more noticeable on this album. So that's why I'm saying that it has that feel, but it's not nothing new. It's just the way it's presented perhaps is new, is different. It's not the elements necessarily. It's like when you're making a recipe. When you're looking at a recipe, a lot of the ingredients could be the same between recipes, but how you put them together defines the dish. So I really feel like this album has a lot of the same ingredients that we've seen in the past, but the way they were put together really defines this album in a different perspective. It really shows it in a different perspective, and that's why I say that those elements perhaps are more noticeable on this album than on previous records. Overall, I really enjoyed the album. The only negative is the guitars, in my opinion, not having enough bite. I would like to see the guitars have a little bit more of an edge. They do in some tracks, but overall, when I look at the overall picture of the album, I really felt that the guitars could have used a little bit of an extra bite, a little bit of an extra edge to sound a little bit more raw, to have more of a presence, to have more of a main sound, to be more driven. And to me, they didn't. I felt that the vocals really overshadow everything else, and for that perspective, I felt that the guitars almost became secondary and kind of drop into the background. And I was hoping that that wasn't going to be the case. But as you listen to the album, you start to realize there's a trend throughout the record, and you start to feel like the guitars are there, but they don't have the same presence, at least that I was hoping they would have. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start with We Will Rock You, a Queen cover that features Lzzy, Hale, and Taylor Momsen. So really interesting cover. I really like this cover. I'm a fan of covers, so this one is one that I really enjoyed. It's a great cover because, in my opinion, a great cover is one that uses the elements of the original song, but then the band creates almost a brand new song by creating a song that has their own DNA, their own fingerprint, their own presence. To me, this song has that ability. You have the elements of the original are there, the melodies are there, the lyrics are there, the way the song is structured is exactly like the original, but the way it sounds, the way it comes across, the way it's put together, it's definitely in this moment. This is their song now. It has their DNA, has their fingerprint. The addition of Lzzy, Hale, and Taylor Momsen really works well, in my opinion, to this song. It really adds something. It adds a different flavor. It adds a different feel, and really expands on the sound and on the vocals, and it expands on the approach that they took to putting this cover together. So overall, I really enjoyed this cover. Very different, very interesting, as the rest of the album is. Born in Flames is a song that, in my opinion, has a more electronic base to it. If you look at the skeleton of this song, it's very electronic driven. It's a track that, in my opinion, has those electronic elements on both the music and the vocals. The melody that the song has really plays perfectly into the mood, the dark embrace that the song has overall. Very melodic song, but still very dark and very somber at the same time. And Maria is able to do that with her voice, to add melody and darkness almost at the same time, with the same style, or even doing slight switches with her vocal range to really bring melody and then turn that melody into darkness. And this song, in my opinion, is one of those where she's able to do that. It has, like I said, this very dark and somber feel, but at the same time a lot of melody. One of the elements from a melodic side perspective is the keyboard. There's keyboard in this song is not very noticeable. It's not necessarily in the forefront, like one of those elements that you immediately see it there and it's palpable. But no, it has some sprinkles of these keyboard notes, these keys coming in throughout the song that, in my opinion, just not only they add melody, they add to that somber feel that the song has. And Maria's vocals are dripped in emotion, and that goes to say how she can change and how she can use her vocal style in order to really paint a picture. And this song, her range goes into different directions: electronic, more clean vocals, a little bit more stressed vocals. But regardless of what the style is, she's always able to deliver an emotional song. Specifically this one, she's able to bring all the emotion of the lyrics and into her delivery, and then give that to the audience or to the listeners listening to this track. I really like this song from that perspective. You feel the emotion that it has, and that melody and darkness, and how those two worlds come together really make this song a memorable one. Next is Holy Man. The drums on this track, to me, is one of the main driving forces. The drums and the vocals. The vocals are a driving force of every single song on this record. But to me, this one, while the previous one, Born in Flames, was more of an electronic track, or at least that was the backbone of that song, holy man, to me, the backbone of this song is definitely the drums. They're not heavy, but they have layers to it. They have perspective. They expand the sound of the track, but they also keep the track within certain boundaries, not allowing the song to really fall off the rails. So to me, that's very important. It offers different angles, different perspectives on how you can use the drums with different styles, different sounds. Almost looking at the drums in this song the same way you look at Maria's vocals and her range. The drums in this song have a range, and I really like that. I really like the combination that they have with her voice. The two become partners. It's almost like you're having a duet between her voice and the drums. It really works well for this track. It really sets the tone, it sets the tempo, it sets this methodic approach to the song, and I really like that. The changes in styles and vocals gives the song some dynamic, because overall this is a methodic and melodic song, perhaps more methodic in the verses, more melodic in the chorus, but you need something to create a change. You need something to give the song some dynamic, some fluidity. In my opinion, that is done through the change in vocal styles throughout the track, because everything else stays pretty uniform. But the drums change ever so slightly from verses to chorus. There's different approaches, different angles, if you will, like I said before. But they're still within a certain scope. They're still within a certain boundary, and they keep the song within that boundary. Her voice is really what changes that a little bit, or is what makes it more noticeable. The changes in her vocal range are really the pushes or the igniters of the track, and then the drums together with her voice, it's almost like the two change at the same time. They're really interconnected throughout the track, and that was something that really attracted me to this song. Alright guys, this is it. This is In This Moment, Mother, out April 3rd on Atlantic Roadrunner Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.